Hello, good evening to all. In this video, we are presenting some of the key GST proposal by the Finance Bill 2022. So the important changes in the GST are: number one, yes, under section 16(2) BA inserted the new section relating to the input credit. Section 16 subsection 2 BA introduced. So the list of the comments is that the list of ineligible ITC as mentioned in the GSTR 2B would not be allowed as ITC from the notified date. However, such ineligibility is linked with supplier default, which is practically out of the recipient control. So it also adds an additional responsibility to have regular check on supplier compliances for ITC availment. The next is in subsection 16(4) for the words and figures due date of furnishing of the return under section 39 for the month of September, the word 13th day of November substituted. So in section 16(4) the word September removed. Instead of that, the word 30th November has been inserted. So due to this change, it has been provided the additional time for availment of ITC till 30th November of next financial year. For example, for the financial year ended 31/3/2022, we have time up to 30th November 2022 to avail any missed input credit. So I think this appears to have been done to make in line with closure of books of accounts and income tax return, which generally happens after 31st October. So this is second change. Third change, there is a change in default period for cancellation of registration. Section 29 subsection 2 clause B, return for 3 consecutive period, the word return for the financial year beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing said return shall be substituted. So according to this substitution, presently taxpayers under composition scheme are liable to file only one return in a year, no monthly return for composition scheme payers. This amendment is brought to make in line with that to specify registration would be cancelled if return is not filed by 3 months from the due date of such annual return. So for the composition scheme dealers, the return is in the form of GSTR 4. The due date is 30th April of the next year. So by this amendment, the registration would be cancelled if the return is not filed by 3 months from the due date of such annual return. So next is 29(2)(c). The word continuous period of 6 months has been removed. In place of that, such continuous tax period as may be prescribed shall be substituted. Presently, registration would be cancelled if the return 6 months continuously not filed. By this amendment, the default period will now prescribed in the rules, which could differ for different category of taxpayers according to the rules prescribed. Next, increase of time limit for rising credit note. Section 34 subsection 2. The time limit for rising credit note September, it is extended to 30th November. This is a welcoming amendment since it has provided additional time for availment of ITC 30th November of next financial year. In short, the time limit for rising credit note is 30th September of the next year as increased to 30th November 2022. The next, conditions and restriction for filing GSTR1. So GSTR1 section 37. So under section 37(3), another amendment has made to increase time for rectification of omission or mistake in the GSTR of the previous financial year by 30th November of the next financial year, like the input credit So if we found any errors or omission in the Gstr1 already filed, we have time up to 30th November of the next financial year to rectify our error and omissions. So the next thing is section 37(4). So with this subsection inserted, the taxpayer cannot file Gstr1 without filing Gstr1 for previous months. Suppose Gstr1 for the month of October has not filed, we cannot file Gstr1 for the month of November. So this is another change. So various amendments relating to return filing. Section 39, subsection 5, 20, the word 13 shall be substituted. So the time limit for filing GSTR 5 by a non-resident taxpayer was reduced from 20 days to 13 days. Already 20 days time is allowed to the non-resident taxpayer to file the return in the subsequent month. That the period of 20 days has been reduced to 13 days, 13 days. Next amendment is 39 subsection 7. With this amendment, option would be given to pay tax on ad hoc basis instead of actual liability for the prescribed persons. Currently, this scheme is a small taxpayer under quarterly return scheme are having this facility. The payment of tax liability on ad hoc basis or provisional basis instead of actual liability only for the prescribed person. Next amendment is 39 subsection 9. This is a welcoming amendment. It has provided additional time for omission or incorrect particular till 30th November of the next financial year. This is one amendment. Another change is that ITC availment in monthly return, section 41(1). So due to this change, the concept of professional ITC is removed. ITC availed in monthly return would be considered as a final. ITC may have to be reversed along with interest if not paid by the supplier. ITC can be re-availed once the supplier pay the tax. Late fee for delay in TCS return. So filing of inward supply return is dispensed with. The corresponding late fee provisions are deleted. Section 47 subsection 1. Further, the late fee is prescribed for delay in filing TCS return. Another thing is transfer of balance in ECL with same PAN number and legal provision packing rule 86B. Next amendment is no interest on unutilized ITC section 50. So interest is liable only on wrongly utilized ITC and not on mere availment. This provision is amendment retrospectively with effect from 1/7/2017 to avoid dispute for the past period. Before this amendment also, the existing provision were sufficient to say that interest is not liable on unutilized ITC. Further, the rate of interest is clarified as 18% for wrongly utilized ITC, not 24%. Thank you for all and tax publisher to share my GST views on budget proposal on Finance Bill 2022.